Right, where's the record? I'm just gonna pin me. There we go. So I'm nice and big. Go live on Instagram. Morning, everybody. 7 o'clock, Thursday morning. Time for our dumbbell class. Got a fun one today. I'm going to split it into two different sections. Going to familiarize ourselves with some movements and do a little bit of kind of strength endurance work with that, and then we'll have a bit of conditioning with the same movements at the very end. Alrighty, we're going to make a start. Get our hips and shoulders nice and warm. So find a little bit of space, and in that space we're going to do a little bit of single leg balance. If you need to use a wall or something to balance with, you absolutely can, not a problem. What we're going to do to start with is we're just going to come up and balance on one leg, and we're going to draw a really big circle with our knee, 5 times forwards. Go nice and slow, right? We don't want to be flying through it. We're going to pick that foot up, try and get it over the height of the knee if you can, and keep it over all the time. We'll do 5 in one direction, and then 5 in the other. Once we take that knee out, we're going to think about lifting the foot and pushing the foot back. Okay, good. 5 in one direction, 5 in the other. Then with the same leg, all I want you to do is to kick it through like you're kicking a ball. So allow a good stretch into the hamstring. And again, if you need to balance, you can do. You can actually get a bigger swing in if we balance. Get 5 of those on each side. All right, so I'm just going to do the other side now. Lifting that knee up, taking it out and over. It doesn't matter whether you go forwards or backwards to start with. So as I'm coming out here, I'm thinking about turning my toe out as well. I'm trying not to turn my body to face in that direction. All right, what I can do if I'm using that balance point is I can actually really focus on a deeper range of motion. Okay, so I've got my 5 over the hurdles, forwards and backwards, and then I'm going to swing. Remember with that swing, if you're doing it freestanding, you might not be able to get such a big, vigorous swing. Nice, good stuff. Okay, once you've got 5 of each, we're just going to do a few walkouts to start to warm the hamstrings a bit more and the shoulders, okay? So feet around about hip width apart. What I want you to do from here is fold over at the hip first, get a bit of length in the hamstrings, keeping your back flat. And then when you need to, slide your hands down and out. And I want you to walk out into that top of the press up position, keeping the floor pushed away so your upper back slightly rounded. Walk yourself back towards your hands, keeping your knees bent if you need to. Slide your hands up your shin so that you can flatten that back out, lifting the chest, get some load into the hamstrings. Roll back down to the floor and walk out again. When we're in that walkout position, okay, it's not a passive drop towards the floor. We want to make sure that we are pushing the floor away. Keep pushing the floor away. Walk yourself back into that hand. Slide your hands up your shin as far as you need to get the back flat. Good, one more time. Down, walk on out. And in that walkout position now, we're going to stay here and we're going to push the floor away into what we call a press up plus. Okay, so that's the top of my press up. I'm going to push the floor away, get my shoulder blades to spread. I want 10 good reps here to warm my shoulders up. Arms stay straight all the time. You'll notice that my core is staying nice and tight, so I'm not dropping or sagging. Good. Once I've got my 10, I'm going to step 1 foot up towards one of my hands, making sure that that back leg stays locked out and straight. Okay, staying in that position. What I want you to do now from here is the hand that's forward, take the elbow, drop it in towards the ankle, towards the floor, bring it up past the knee, turn and open. And get 5 good repetitions here. Really making the most of turning the torso. Once you've got 5 on one side, hand down, take that leg back, switch sides. That foot comes up as far as is comfortable, okay? So if it's a little bit further back from the hand, that's okay, just keep the foot flat to the floor. And make sure that back leg stays locked out and straight, okay? Elbow towards the ankle, then towards the ceiling and open. And you notice that I'm turning my chest and torso towards that inside knee. 5 reps. Excellent. Down, take a knee. That's our warm-up done. All right, we've gotten into all the joints that we're going to use today and prep some of the muscles that we're going to use. So, we've got a full body session to do today, okay? If you've got kettlebells and dumbbells, a kettlebell is going to be a better option because we've got some swings in there, but you can use a dumbbell throughout, okay? With a dumbbell, everything's going to be one-handed. So when we do our swings today, you'll want to soften your knees a little bit because you'll be holding the weight by the handle, and you want to be able to bring it through in between your legs, okay? So with the swing, remember what a swing looks like. You want to make sure the back is nice and flat. So you notice I'm starting with the kettlebell away and in front, okay? And from that position, I can pick it up and it comes in, and my movement is all through my hips. And you've noticed that I'm forcefully driving my hips forwards. That weight staying in one arm. Okay, so as I come in here, there's almost a little bit of rotation through my body so that I can not have my hips sway side to side. Okay, so we've got some single arm swings. We've also got some single arm cleans. Okay, the clean will be a swing where you bring that weight up to front rack. Okay, so with a kettlebell, I'll start with that in front, I'll bring it into my swing, and turn and catch it here. Down, up, making sure that I'm getting the timing right with how I catch it so that it's not looping out and around for that catch, okay? With a dumbbell, what's the trip hazard? With a dumbbell, when you swing it, okay, you're going to catch it with it sitting up on the shoulder, the handle pointing relatively forwards. Okay, that'll be our second exercise today. I'll talk you through them as we go, of course. Exercise number 3 is going to be a lunge. Okay, so once I've finished, and my lunges will be with the weight up here, and we're going to lunge back with the same side leg as the weight's on. Okay, so my lunge will be here. Following the lunges, we'll have a press, making sure that the weight comes down into that same position. And we're going to finish with something called a windmill. Okay, and the windmill will be with the weight overhead. Okay, so the weight will stay overhead. My stance, same side as the weight, toe pointing forward, other foot pointing out in away from the body, keeping that weight perpendicular to the body. I'm going to slide, push my hips back into that corner and slide my arm down towards the floor. Okay, so from a side-on perspective, I'm pushing the weight towards the ceiling and sliding my hand down now. Depending on how good your hip flexors are, your hamstrings are, will depend how low we go. Hand towards the ceiling, hand towards the floor, looking to get separation between those two, and my hips pushing back into that corner. Now, if my hamstrings are tight, that might be, hand to knee might be all I can go. I've got elbow to knee, and then I've got hand to floor. Okay? Don't push into those areas if you can't keep that hand directly over the shoulder. Okay? And if you've got a couple of different weight kettlebells, you might want a lighter one for the back end. Swings will be the heaviest, followed by the cleans. You might manage the same weight through the lunges as well. You might then want to go with a lighter kettlebell for the press and for the windmills. Okay? All right. If we're ready, we're going to make a start. We're going to start with 6 swings, 6 single arm swings on each side, take a bit of rest, and we're going to work through some sets of that before we move on. Okay? So you can start with a relatively heavy load, because it's only going to be 6 reps. We're going to start in 5 seconds. Weights out in front. 3, 2, 1. Pull it in, kick it out with your hips. Don't pull it with your arms. Keep your feet flat to the floor. Hips go back and in. Once I've got my 6 reps, I'm going to return it to the floor out in front. I'm going to change arms, pull it into my hips, and fire forwards. Remembering that, I've got a little bit of torso rotation as we go. Nice, good, and rest. Everything under control. We'll go again in 30 seconds. So this is just to introduce us to each of the movements, do a little bit of work with each one. So I'll do this set front on so that you can see what we're aiming for. We go in 10 seconds. I've got a good solid wide base outside my shoulder width. 5 seconds. I'm going to hinge forward, hand on. 3, 2, 1. I pull it into my hips and fire forwards. You'll see that my arm stays relaxed, firing forwards, finishing tall, return to the floor. Change sides, I'm bracing, lifting my chest, my hamstrings are tight, my lower back's flat, pull it off the floor and drive. Big explosion as I drive forwards, 6 reps on each side, and done. We have one more set of those guys, okay? So I'll do this last set completely side on, so you get all views of how we should be moving here. So we've got 10 seconds to go. I've got my feet sorted. I hinge over at the hips, so my back stays flat, and I reach out and I can grab. 3, 2, 1. Pull it into my hip. I'm punching forward. This arm stays relaxed. I get a little bit of torso swing. Rotation in, return it out to the floor. Change sides. When you've done your 6, nice, good stuff. All right, there's our 3 sets. We're going to move on to our cleans next. Okay, so the swings exactly the same. We're going to start in about a minute's time. So with a clean, we want the weight to travel a little bit more vertically rather than out in that arcing movement, okay? So you might get a little bit more knee bend to be able to have the weight come up. We want it to stay a little bit closer to the body, okay? 25 seconds. I'll start with a set side on. I'll start with the right arm so you can catch what I'm going to do. We're going to start in 10 seconds. Again, we just want 6, okay? 3, 2, 1. Same start position. I pull it in. Now I dictate where my elbow goes. So I get the weight coming back and into the body. Trying to catch it at the right height. Okay? And then we get 6 on the other side. Same start position. pull it in and up. You'll notice I've got a little bit more knee bend. The mechanics of the swing are very similar. I catch and finish in this position here. I can catch with soft knees if I need to. Good stuff. We'll go again in 20 seconds. Ten seconds. In 5, good set position. 3, 2, 1. Away we go. Swing it in. Making sure my feet stay flat to the floor all the time. The weight disappears behind me a little bit. And I'm turning my hand around to get my elbow out. Rhythm and timing, using my lower body, my hips and my quads. Once I've done my 6 and 6, return the weight to the floor. Good, 25 seconds before our final set. Drying the hands off if they're a little bit slippy and sweaty. 15 seconds, one more set. Less than 10 seconds now, so I assume my position. 3, 2, 1, good solid grip, pull it in. One in the upper body to do as little as possible apart from stay gripped to the kettlebell. Big explosion of the legs to pop it up. Good. Last set. Don't let the weight dictate your body position, and we finish. Good, 3 sets done. The next exercise will be a reverse lunge, and we're going to start with the weight up in that front rack position. We start in 45 seconds. "30 seconds, guys, okay? So we're going to bring the weight up. Whichever side you start with it on, you lunge back with the same leg, okay? And that lunge backwards, we want to hit the bottom of the lunge with the torso in a relatively similar position to the front shin, okay? Up through the knee, the hip and the shoulder. On the back leg side is a nice straight line as well. 3, 2, 1, move the weight up. Whichever side the weight is on, that's the same as my back leg. 1. Standing all the way back up to square feet. Making sure we're not stepping back on the tightrope. So we keep the feet same width. Get 6 reps. Change the side the weight is on. And change the back leg. Making sure we're not having too much weight through the back leg. The weight wants to predominantly be through that front leg. That's our working leg. And then we can rest. Good. Catching our breath. We go again in 40 seconds. So I'll hit this next set side on. So you can see what it looks like from the side. Making sure the weight doesn't dictate our body positions. And we have the weight distribution sorted so that our front leg's doing most of the work. 15 seconds. Okay, we start in 5, 3, 2, 1. Swing that weight up. And then whichever side the weight is on, that is my back leg. Making sure the load is predominantly through my front leg. Notice my back knee's going towards the floor. Once I've done my 6, change that weight around and I change my front leg. Making sure your stance isn't too narrow in the lunge, and that you've got an even weight distribution through your heel and the ball of the foot and the little toe on that front leg. Good, 2 sets done. So when we're in that lunge, guys, whichever side the weight is on, we don't want the weight to shift into the hip. We want the weight to shift back and down, so everything stays nicely lined up. We don't have the back knee hammer into the floor, okay? Notice as I'm dropping, as I'm stepping back, and then I power off the front leg rather than push off the back leg to return to the start, okay? 15 seconds when we start our final set. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Bring that weight up. Whichever side the weight's on, that's our lunge side. Get our 6 reps in. Then we switch sides. And we finish. Good job. Okay, our press is next. Which we're going to start in 45 seconds. Now this can be a little bit of a push press. If you're going to stick with the same load and it's quite heavy, you can push press it, okay? So you've got a strict press where I don't use my legs, or you can push press where you dip and smash your leg, okay? Where you dip and use the legs. You can even jerk it, which takes the leg weight out of the shoulder even more, where we dip, push, and catch in a little bit of a squat before we stand, okay? That takes a little bit more rhythm, a bit more timing, a bit more technique, okay? I shouldn't think with the weight and the reps we're going to do that you'll actually need to do that version. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. We bring the weight up, and then we want 6 reps, driving the weight straight towards the ceiling. Once you've done 6, change the side. Good. Making sure that when we press, everything stays nice and solid and tight, okay? No hips out the back, no arching through the lower back. Good. Start again in 20 seconds. Using the legs as much as we need to, but still getting some work through the upper body. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I bring the weight up through the clean, and then I press. Finish my 6 reps. Change the side the weight is on, and my press is straight towards the ceiling, not forwards. My hand finishes stacked over my shoulder, which is stacked over my hips. Rib cage isn't flared and open, my core's tight. Finish your 6 reps, and then we've got one more set to go in 25 seconds. And then we've got the dreaded windmill. 15 seconds. Three, 2, 1. Bring the weight up through a clean, and then we press. Get our 6 reps. Change sides. Finish the set off Excellent. Always controlling the weight down from the shoulder to the hip and then down to the floor, okay? All right, less than a minute till we do our windmills. So remember, you're going to clean the weight up, press it overhead. Whichever side the weight's on, that leg's going to point forwards. We're going to angle the other foot out. Okay, maybe not directly perpendicular, just at a slight angle. If that's a full 90 degrees, we're looking at about 70 or 80 degrees in that direction rather than the full 90, okay? From that position, hand stays over the shoulder, and then my hips drive into the back corner, and I slide my arms down, keeping the hand over the shoulder all the time. We start in 5 seconds. In 3, 2, 1. We only need 3 reps, guys, okay? Only 3. Weight stays locked up. Control that slide down. Back stays as flat as we can make it. So if my hamstrings are tight there, I'm going to stop. Get your 3 reps. Notice the speed of control on the descent and solid on the stand. Finish my 3 reps. Change sides. Alter my stance now. Other leg, weight side leg pointing forward. Other leg out. Drive overhead. I drive my hips back. I'm looking up at the weight all the time. Three reps we need. In and down. Good job. 35 seconds before we go. Just take your time with that one, guys, okay? It's really important that I'm keeping the shoulder stable as I descend, so my hand needs to stay over my shoulder. As soon as it varies from that position, we get into real trouble. Okay, the weight will feel much heavier. We've got 15 seconds before we go. 3, 2, 1. Up through the clean. Press it overhead. Alter my feet. Keeping that hand over the shoulder. Notice my arm stays perpendicular to the floor all the time. I'm learning to dissociate hand and arm from the rest of my body. Change sides. Press it out. Make sure weight leg side pointing forwards, other leg pointing out, not quite at 90 degrees. Looking at the weight all the time. Sending my hips out to the rear and finish. Just 3 reps a side. 40 seconds before we do one more set. Alrighty, almost ready. 15 seconds. And we're going to get one more set of windmills. 5. When you're ready, 3, 2, 1. Through a swing and a clean, up through the press. Get your feet in the right position. Looking at the weight all the time. Keeping the hand over the shoulder. Finish. Change sides. And up we go. Altering my feet. Sending my hips to the rear. Looking at the weight all the time. Putting as much of a bend in that front knee as I need to get some movement. Hand traces down the inside of my leg. When you're finished, bring the weight down under control. Good job. Okie dokie. So, we're going to take a bit of a breather, and we're just going to link all of those movements together now. Whew. Okay? So we're going to start in a minute's time. Three of each movement now, guys, okay, but we're putting them all together. So the sequence will be 3 swings, change side, 3 swings, change arm, 3 cleans, change arm, 3 cleans, change arm, lunge, change arm, and lunge, change arm, 3 press, change arm, 3 press, change arm, 3 windmills, change arm, 3 windmills, rest. All right, we've got a rolling clock for 3 sets of this to finish us off, and it really will finish us off. We're starting in about 10 seconds. Quality, guys, okay? We're going to have plenty of time to get it done, so don't rush it. Good, solid quality of movement. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. 3 swings. Driving that weight forward. Switch sides. You can return the weight to the floor if you want to, or if you're happy to juggle it a little bit, you can do that too. 3 cleans and 3 cleans. Making sure that I'm letting my legs do the work here, guys. When we change sides, bring the weight up into the clean position, and then I've got my lunges, making sure my same side leg is the back leg. 3 on one side, 3 on the other. Nice and controlled, I'm not rushing. We're going to switch sides after the 3 lunges for the 3 presses. Heart rate starting to rise a bit now. 3 on the other side. Keeping things under control. Switch sides again. Press it for the windmills. Sort your feet out. We're tired now, so we've got to control that movement to keep the weight in a good position. I'm pressing the weight to the ceiling all the time. My hips are moving in reverse. And then I bring it down. Switch those sides. Press, organize my feet. Heart rate's definitely rising now, but I'm looking to maintain a sense of control and tension all the time. And finish. Good job. Control your breathing. Working the way through. Taking your time. Lovely control there, Mark. Good job, mate. Just on those windmills, really take your time. All right, we've got another minute before we go again. So it's happening on a 4-minute clock, okay? 2 more sets. At your own pace. Remember that I juggle the weight side to side. If you need to rest it down between, you can do that. If you need to wipe your hands off because they're a bit sweaty, you've got time to fit that in. Okay, as long as we've got about a minute of recovery between, we're going to be absolutely fine. So I'll actually reset the weight every time this time. Okay, less than 30 seconds now. Grab a drink, dry your hands off, 3 swings on each side. So this is asking a lot of our hips, hamstrings, and lower back, okay? We want the legs to take the weight of everything through all of these movements if we can. 5 seconds. So I'm going to put the weight down to transfer it from arm to arm and exercise to exercise, okay? 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Put it in for my 3 swings. After my 3rd swing, I'm going to return it to the floor, change sides, 3 swings. Return it, and I've got my cleans. Put it in. Making sure that I've got a good solid grip without over gripping, but also not putting it on the floor and smashing my living room floor. 3 there. My lunge is next, so I'll swing it in, clean it up. Whichever side the weight's on, that's my trail leg. Just 3 on one side. I'll return it to the hip and to the floor, change sides. That's now my trail leg, my back knee dropped towards the floor. I'm lunging on a train track though. So from there, I come down, got my press next, switching sides. You can have a leg drive into the press if you want to, or you can keep it straight. I'm safely returning it to the floor every time. And then into the windmills. Drying my hands off. Making sure I've organised my feet in the right manner. Keeping that arm, pushing the weight to the ceiling. Only going as low as my hamstrings will let me before I collapse. If you do collapse, the weight will drop. We don't want that. Press overhead, organise that front foot, pushing the hips to the weight side, into that corner, looking at my hand all the time and keeping it over my shoulder. In and down, good. Nicely done. One more round. A minute to go. All right, let's keep the quality through this last round. I put the weight down every time. I'm not going to do that to finish because I just want to get the work done. Okay, as long as you can safely transfer that weight, you're absolutely golden. We go in 30 seconds, so we're nice and fresh. Swings, cleans, lunges, press, windmill, 3 of each. Big finish then, guys, okay? 15 seconds. No need to rush, just remember the quality. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good start position. 3 swings on each side. Driving the hips through. Nice and clean and crisp. Power in the hips. Forwards, back stays nice and flat. And now into my cleans. Keeping the feet flat to the floor. Moving our hips to dictate how we use the legs. Got my lunges coming after my cleans. So whichever side that weight's on, that's my trail leg. 3 lunges. Change sides. Big swing around. Making sure that front leg, everything's pointing forwards. Good. Change sides for my press. Get 3 on each side. Reckon the house this morning. Here we go. Windmills to finish. Weight overhead. Lowering in. Separating the arm from the body. Looking at the hand all the time to guide it through. Change sides. Controlling your breathing as best you can so that we've got good control over the load. 3 windmills on each side, safely in and down to the floor. Nice work. Take your time working through the rest of the set. When you're finished, bring the weight down to the deck. Make sure your feet are in a good position for that windmill. And remember that the hips want to travel towards the weight, okay? So whichever side the weight's on, drive into that hip rather than leaning forward over the non-weight side. When you finish, lower to shoulder, lower to hip, weight on the floor. Awesome job, guys. Well done. Nice. Excellent stuff. All right. Well played. Okie dokie. Just a couple of little movements to unwind the upper back and the hips to finish. So we just want to be down on the floor in a 4-point kneeling position. Nice and relaxed. Standing in that position, what I want you to do is point your tail up towards the sky. Okay, so tilt your pelvis down towards the floor. Allow the rib cage to open and expand. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and lift your head and look forward. You don't need to look up, just be looking forwards, okay? From that position, we're going to reverse everything one step at a time. What I mean by that is tuck your chin first, then push the floor away, then slowly start to do a crunch from the top of your abdominals down, squeezing the rib cage, tucking the pelvis underneath. Stay in that position, that big tuck position. Send your weight back towards your heels. You should feel your lower back start to open, get a bit of a stretch. Stay in as big a curve as you can. Come back up, and then from that curve, the first thing I want to do is tilt the pelvis back down towards the floor, then slowly start to open the rib cage, squeeze the shoulder blades, and look forwards. One more time, the entire thing, head first, then push the floor away, then slowly start to push your spine up towards the ceiling, all the way down through the middle of the back, through your lower back, tuck the pelvis, sit back onto your heels, and then from that position, just slide your hands forward into a modified child's pose. Just stay down here, grab a few free breaths, and you notice because your thighs are directly underneath your rib cage, as you breathe in, your body should rise. As you exhale, your body should fall back down into the stretch. Keeping the hands out in front, what I want you to do is come up onto your fingertips, okay? Like you're going to play the piano, like you've got a bowl underneath each hand. From that position, I want you to look up towards your hands and walk your hands out in front. And we should feel this a little bit more through the shoulder blades. What we don't want to do as we walk the hands forward is have our hips roll forward as well. And see if you can get your chest through towards the floor. A little bit more. Excellent, good. Hands to the floor. And then nice and slowly, just bring the hands back in towards your knees. Coming up, take your seat with the legs out in front. And what we're going to do in this seated position is just tie one knee in towards the chest, lift the foot up and over and pop it on the floor. We want sole of the foot on the floor and that cross-legged hip down on the floor as well, okay? Take the opposite arm to that cross leg. Try and get the knee into the crease of the elbow without your foot coming off the floor. And then sit up nice and tall. When you're sitting up tall, you might feel a stretch through the glutes. Once we're in that position, keep it tucked in tight. Take the non-working hand, place it down behind you. Don't lean back into it. Have it to have you sit upright. Rotate, pull on that knee, and look over your back shoulder. Good. Slowly come back to the center and let that leg go. Pop it out straight. Hug. Same. The opposite knee in. Bring it up and over. Sole of the foot on the floor. Same side as the cross leg hip. Down. Opposite arm to that front knee. Wrap it around. Squeeze it in tight so that we're pulling knee into chest to get a stretch into the glute. Same side as the cross leg. Use that hand, pop it down behind you. Don't lean back into it. Post yourself up tall, active with your posture. Turn and look over that back shoulder. Squeezing in, getting a good rotation through the spine. Looking back right over that shoulder. Nice and slowly rotate back to center. Let that leg go. And we're finished. Awesome job. Excellent work, guys. Good job, mate.
Cheers, that was good.
Yeah, a little bit different. A little bit different. We haven't used windmills since like last summer.
I can't remember doing that one.
Yeah, it's a great movement. If you can get on YouTube and have a little look to familiarize yourself with it, it's a really nice movement. It's great for shoulder health and for core because you're having to do so much work, and a lot of people just don't get the position quite right in terms of weight distribution through the hips.
Right.
If there's too much weight over the non-weight side leg, then that hamstring just lights up and you can't drop very far. You can't lower the weight very far. Whereas if you sit into that same side weight leg, so your back leg effectively, that front hamstring doesn't take so much of the brunt and it becomes a bit more core and upper body-esque. It gets more advanced as you straighten both your feet up because then it's harder to distribute the load.
It reminds me of a get up though as well.
Yeah, exactly that. But we've done a kneeling variation of that before.
Yeah.
It's a more advanced version. There's fewer degrees of freedom because your hand never hits the ground, so you're always a bit more unstable. There's a greater range of motion, so there's just more work done. But yeah, you get a lot of bang from your buck with that. And obviously, by the time we're getting to that, your shoulder's pretty fried as well. So it's a really nice sequence. I often, if I'm doing like a different kind of weight session, I'll pick a lighter kettlebell and I'll do a few kind of single arm rows, then a few single arm swings, then some cleans, then some presses, then some windmills just to warm up. I do like maybe 5 of each on each side for maybe 2 or 3 sets as part of a warm up, because it just like you hit everything within a couple of minutes. I don't bother doing any stretching. I don't do any other activation or that kind of stuff. I just do that little sequence of row, swing, clean, press, windmill.
Yeah.
And everything gets hit. If I'm doing a bit more kind of leggy, lungy stuff, I might put those lunges that we did in as well. But I'll do it all on one side, all on the other side with a lighter, like a 12 or a 16, depending on. Use a 24 all the way through today, and the press was a bit of a struggle on my right side. Not sore shoulder, which is why I was push pressing rather than strict pressing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
That was good. Thank you.
Awesome. Great stuff, mate. I'll speak to you soon.